Silakan, Ardea.
Yes, sir. So thank you very much, sir. So for brief explanation about my research proposal. So the title for my research is on analysis the character of sadness, internal conflict in the inside of movie script. So then for the research, I use descriptive research to conduct data. I think that's all. Thank you very much.
Okay, now we proceed to the question and answer session. I would like to invite Abdul Malik Aziz to start the discussion. Please have your time.
All right, sir. Thank you for the opportunity, sir. So, in here, I have two questions for Ardea. So, the first question itself is, what is the term of character of sadness in your proposal means? Because I need to clarify what is the meaning of the character of sadness itself. And the second question is, for the data analysis section, which theory that you use, or did you use your individual theory? Is it allowed to use your individual theory? Uh, that's all, I think. Thank you very much.
So I will answer Malik's questions. The first one is like you asked what is the terms of character sadness in my proposals means, right? So in this part, the character is like the role that has their thought and behavior, personality, and etc. Also, it can be seen through their actions or the dialogue in the movie while moving the story along the plot line. So as for the term the character of sadness, it can be told that she has a type of overrun characters based on the Nurgian Toro 2002, and which means this character has a many layer personality, and it more complex rather than other types, because in these types it can describe that it seems it can recognize as they could exist in our and then insecure and timid move through the whole plot of the storylines, and it makes it recognizable as the audience when they watch the movie. And then for the second questions is about data analysis section. So from the data analysis sections that I will use some theory that I included in the framework of theory. As you can see, there is the theory of conflict, theory of internal conflict, and the theory of character and characterization. So, and also I will use the theory provided by the expert. Of course, it's not from me, because it's still related to psychological fields, and I will use the theory character and characterizations suggested by Abrams 2000, and then Nurgian Toro that I mentioned before 2002, and then Murphy 1972, and then also from Kurt Lewin's theory. These theories are going to be used by me to analyze the internal conflict faced by the character. I think that's all my answer. Is it clear, Malik?
Yeah, that's clear enough, I think. So I think I have a suggestion for you as the discussion. My suggestion is like that you need to be more detailed, yeah. So you need to write down in detail in some aspects in here, like the term of character of sadness itself, because sometimes ini mungkin bisa memunculkan kesalahpahamannya tentang apa artinya itu. Dan in the theory of data analysis, as you explained before, you took it from the experts. So I think you need to write down which experts that you choose to be the data analysis for your research. That's what my suggestion. It should come from expert, yeah. That's all, I think.
Thank you very much, Malik.
Okay, thank you, Abdul Malik Aziz, for your discussion and your suggestion. Now we proceed to the next discussion. Yeah, Sharifah Desi, please have your time.
All right, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. So for Ardea Safitri, I have three questions. So the first question is, what made you choose descriptive designs for your research? And then the second question is, what is your strongest reason why you have to choose sadness? I'm sorry, why you have to analyze the sadness character? Like, oh, like we can do in this Inside Out movie, there is another character like joy, anger, and etc. And why must be the sadness character? And for the third question is, what have you expected from your research for your students in teaching learning? I think that's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Daisy, for asking. So for the first questions you asked about,
You are muted. You are muted.
so the first questions about why I choose descriptive design for my research, right? So as you know, the descriptive research is means for exploring and understanding the meaning in individuals or groups that ascribes the social and human problem. This is stated by Creswell 2018, if I'm not wrong. And then, so I choose this research design because I will describe the problems of my research based on the type of my data. Because in my data itself, the primary data is the transcript from the inside of movie itself. So in this process, in relation to the movie script, the design can be used to analyze the characteristic sadness and how she faced the internal conflict through the whole plot. And then as why must be the sadness as there I choose sadness because after I watch and then read the script, the internal conflict that is faced by the sadness through the whole plot in the movie, I think it find it interesting, like how she deals and copes with herself and how the situation from this movie, and this character is still related in our daily life and for everyone too, like when everyone wants to always seems happy and try to ignore the sadness itself and try to replace with positivity. And then from the character that sadness has in the movie may seem it looks sad all the time. It sounds, but in some of the scenes is actually she is intelligence, like how she deal with the problem. Also she know the best about everything that works in the headquarters. Based on the movie also she has important role that made the plot more interesting by the end of the story. And then for the last questions about what I'm expecting from this research to our learning and teaching. So I hope that this movie script might be used as extra material for learning literature, especially for students in our major English education who are preparing to be teacher in the future. Hopefully this study should be great, should be help in that process. It can be reference when the students need to analyze the movie in the subject like literary appreciations and literary work, that maybe students might study the characteristic of the major and use this understanding of the method in the teaching in the future. I think that's all my answer. And is it clear, Daisy?
All right. Thank you for your clear explanation. So I want to give the suggestions for your proposal. So I have read your proposal and my suggestion is sebaiknya you have to use the references the maximum 5 years from now. like I see in your proposal, you still have used the references in 2000 and 2009. Jadi, I think it's too old for to be your references. I think that's all, my suggestion and my questions. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Okay, thank you, Sharifah Desi, for the discussion. Now we proceed to the next session, the discussion. All right, so the first, I want to comment on your format, the proposal formats. So you have to care for everyone, you have to care for your proposal in usual or common format, formatnya itu harus sesuai yang sudah biasa. Kalau ini kan tidak biasa, ya. Formatnya yang biasa apa? Ya, yang biasa itu kalau di sini di atas 4, marginnya di sini 4, di samping 3, di bawah 3. Kemudian ini spacingnya itu harusnya 1.5, ya. 1.5. The font size is 12 using New Time Roman. Nah, kalau ini sepertinya ininya ya apa space-nya itu tidak biasa. So you have to follow the common format for the proposal. Kemudian this one I think is not following the format. So there's change before from the other pages. The other pages look follows the standard format, so 4433, but the last pages doesn't. So it will influence the what's that? The comment from the reviewer. Usually they will comment on that. Following the common rule or the common formats is important because it was that it indicates your understanding of the general rule of academic writing. Makanya misalkan referensi gitu selalu menjadi komen pertama kali. Ini sebenarnya bukan hanya di prodi kita atau di universitas, tapi kalau Anda sudah masuk ke dunia akademik, yang begitu pasti dikomentari terlebih dahulu. Misalkan saya mau mengirim artikel saya, tulisan saya ke jurnal internasional, misalkan gitu ya. Nah, kemudian misalkan referensinya itu acak-acakan. Dan pasti jurnal itu belum membaca isinya langsung ditolak saya. Langsung reject gitu. Kenapa? Because this the common rule. This is the common tradition, common rules, common practice in academic world. If you do not follow the common rule, common practice, it indicates that you are not you are not familiar with that tradition. Kalau tidak familiar berarti dianggap tidak ngerti gitu. Masalahnya itu. So that's why it's always become the common rule. Wherever you go around the world, this become the common practice. Makanya referensi itu selalu saja diwanti-wanti jangan sampai salah gitu. Karena itu masalahnya. Nah, padahal kan ya sama saja kan kita lihatnya gitu, tapi karena itu common practice, so you have to follow strictly. At least you you follow that. That's the simple one, the simplest perhaps. in writing, ya, that you have to follow the formats. Nah, the second baru ada idenya. Ya. Idenya tentulah tergantung ya. Alright, now sadness ya. Saya itu nggak tahu apa itu sadness. Kalau di sini tidak ada di apa di terminologi itu tidak. You do not supply the definition of sadness. Fortunately, I directly come to this. Sebentar, I forgot to share the screen. Okay, Ardea ya. Wait a minute. Okay, now your title, yeah, the vocabulary, what's that? Let's say the keywords. The keyword in your vocabulary in your title is the character, sadness, internal conflict, inside out movie. Itu inside out movie. Jadi ini semuanya harus ada dalam what's that your terminologies, because this will help the reader, the reviewer, understand quickly what you mean by those terms, those words. Nah, tadi saya sadness. Saya bilang, apa sih sadness itu? Saya pikir itu sadness is the opposite of the happiness. Yeah. Yeah, I tried to search, yeah, and then I come to this synopsis. So it seems that sadness is one of the name of the character. Yeah, like here, joy, sadness, fear, disgust, and anger. I don't know yet, yeah, because it's very quick. What's look a quick look. So now, so that's why I have to confirm. What do you mean by sadness in your title?
I mean sadness in my proposal is like I want to find the character, I mean kayak karakter dari si sadness itu sendiri. Jadi sadness itu tuh figuresnya gitu,
What is sadness? Sadness is the name of person or
yes, the name of person, the name of the character in that movie.
Yeah, so that's why it's very important that you have to quickly define what you mean by sadness. I thought that sadness is the condition of your psychological, sorrowness, or the opposite of happiness. That's what I thought. Because that's why this become very hard to understand sadness, internal conflict, because sadness, is actually the condition of psychological, psychological condition of someone. But in fact, in your research, sadness is the name of person. So the writer or the author of this movie using the name, using the character of psychological condition become the sadness as the main figure or character in this movie. Okay, so the internal conflict of someone is kind of there, right? So an analysis of character, the analysis of character, the analysis of, ini harus ada of-nya ya. An analysis on atau of the character of sadness internal conflict. So what you want to analyze is the internal conflicts of someone. Is that?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So what is character? Character is actually sadness, right? So are you saying like this? An analysis of the sadness internal conflict. Gitu ya. So I repeat once again. An analysis of the sadness internal conflict. Ya.
Yes, sir.
Jadi judul itu sangat penting ya, to be precise, to be not ambiguous, so to be precise, to be exact. So I think character there will ruin ya the definition. So it's better you do not use the word character because character is sadness itself. So an analysis of the sadness internal conflicts. So you might italize the word sadness to indicate that sadness is not sadness as the opposite of enjoyment or happiness. But sadness is the name of person. So that's why you need to italize it as Inside Out is the name of movie. So an analysis of sadness, italize, sadness internal conflict in the Inside Out movie without script, nggak perlu disebut script ya. Kalau yang namanya menganalisis movie ya pasti menganalisis skripnya ya. Maksudnya termasuklah menganalisis skripnya. Jadi tidak perlu menyebut skrip di situ. So the title become like this: an analysis of the sadness internal conflict in the Inside Out movie. Sampai situ. All right. So you want to, what is internal conflict?
So internal conflict is like how humans against themselves when they have an inner struggles with their minds or thought or desires or impulse. Jadi itu lebih ke struggle kepada diri sendiri, konflik. Mungkin lebih tepatnya bisa dibilang konflik batin, sir.
Internal conflict. It is the standard term to tell that. I mean, it is your terms, or you take this term from the book, the textbooks.
I read and then I actually come with this.
I mean, do the other writer, use this term internal conflict to mean as what you mean? Huh? Do you understand what I mean?
Yes, sir. Dari beberapa jurnal yang saya baca seperti itu sih, sir.
Okay, internal conflicts. Why do you want to investigate that? Like what your friend already answered. I mean, ask. Why do you need to analyze internal conflicts? What for? What benefit?
So,
Ini kok suka mute terus?
Why I want to analyze the internal conflict, because I think it's really related to every person's life, everyone, like how they struggle but their self. Also, this will related to students too, because some of the students in like from this movie kan itunya main karakternya kan masih teenagers, so teenagers have a lot problems with their emotional, like how they will control their emotions in that stage. Jadi internal konflik itu termasuk dari salah satu struggle yang paling besar yang bakalan dijalanin sama beberapa orang, bahkan di waktu in stage of teenager stage. Jadi this is the reason.
How is this topic related to our department?
What I think it's related when it becomes, when in the future, I mean, kalau jadi teacher tuh pasti otomatis try to understand the students, sir. Tapi kalau untuk related to our major tuh, maybe some like our courses that like literary work and literary appreciations, we analyze the movie, but not only the intrinsic element, but also the case or the problem from that movie, we also need to analyze. So this will helpful, I think. And then I read some of articles or journal, like when inside of movie also has a content that pragmatic, maybe like floating maxim or the structures from that their dialogue and conversations that ada gitu, sir, masuk ke dalam penganalisis seperti itu, sir.
Are you going to analyze in that way?
Analysis. Pardon me, sir. I
You
cannot hear
said
you.
that, are you going to analyze in such a way? In the way that you mentioned?
No, sir. I'm just analyze the internal conflict because I think that internal conflict will helpful for our teachers, maybe.
Hmm. Wait a minute. Yeah, I think you have to consider, because if you are talking about internal conflict solely, I mean, it is not really related to our department, because we mind the language structure. So I think it is interesting if you are trying to analyze the internal conflicts by teenagers happen during the teenage. Yeah. So and you like to analyze or link it with the language. Yeah, as what you said. I'm not very good at the literature, so I'm not familiar with the terms in this one. But what I want to suggest is that every angle, I mean, every angle of your analysis must be related to our department. So cannot be just totally off. Yeah. You might argue that one of the analysis is the character, yeah, the character inside the movie. Okay, but to make it related, yeah, to make this project related to our department, so why not you, for example, also analyze categorize or analyze it, not only with the character internal conflicts, but also related to pragmatic things like that. So if you do it within the framework of pragmatic, for example, so it becomes very closely related to our department. Why we need to keep remind, yeah, to keep relevant with our prodi, because our prodi must be different from other prodi. You know, if you analyze it only from the perspective of the development of psychological status or states, yeah, psychological states or condition. So then this research, this piece of research is perhaps more suitable for like in other departments, yeah, like perhaps in general education or PG PAUD misalkan, yang lebih, walaupun PAUD itu anak usia dini tapi mungkin mereka, they also talk about the development, the psychological development, yeah, because more on the psychology is close there. And meanwhile, our department is more on the combination between language and education. Actually, yeah, in our department, we also have something to do with language, yeah, like pragmatic, language and psychological states, like as you said, pragmatic, yeah. So you could use this framework in order to look at the phenomena happen in this movie. Ya. Saya kira begitu, itu lebih apa ya, lebih aman. Ya. So there's no was that difficult question later, ya, because you are already very clear, yeah, related to our department. If you do not try to link it with our department, so you might be questioned, ya. Kamu mungkin pasti akan ditanya, ya, tentang how this is connected with our prodi. Ya. Kalau meneliti cuman internal konfliknya aja di movie gitu kan. Jadi kecuali misalkan bagaimana cara mengungkapkan internal konflik, misalnya dalam bahasa-bahasa tertentu, itu kan kita we detect the internal conflict through the expression, used by the character, for example. Nah, itu ada hubungannya dengan the structure of language. So I think it is still related. Tapi kalau kamu benar-benar soul sedang gitu tadi, benar-benar hanya internal konfliknya saja, ya. Nah, takutnya itu tadi tidak terlalu relevan. Okay. Now that's why it's also important to be determined, ya, untuk maksudnya perlu ditentukan dulu gitu scope riset ini. Maka ini kan masuk dalam scope kan, apa terminologi itu. Kita tentukan dulu scope penelitian ini mau ke arah mana dibawanya. Baru kita bisa menentukan theoretical framework. Now here you start from movie scripts, for example. Kemudian movie script mana nomor 2? Ya, movie script. Number 2, character and characterization. Itu kan ya, semuanya psikologi itu kan. Theory of conflict, psychology again, internal conflict, emotion. So all about psychology, ya. It's very hard to link it with our department. Only this topic, movie script. Tapi sebenarnya judulnya jangan movie script, tapi mungkin movie movie in language education atau literature. Tapi literature mungkin terlalu umum ya. Jadi mungkin movie in language education. Tapi kalau kamu misalkan ada subheading atau heading tentang movie and language education, berarti yang dibahas adalah language education-nya. So you have to try to link between language education and the next topik yang di sini adalah apa nih? Theory of conflict, ya. Theory of character and characterization. Nah, ini kan sangat ke arah psikologi atau ke sastranya kan. So it's not really related, and you have to try hard ya to link it. Nah, itu masalahnya. Okay, I cannot comment much on this theoretical framework section because I think it's hard for me to look at the connection between this topic and our department. All right. Unless you really explicitly say that in other part of your proposal. Okay, ini H, context of the movie scripts. What do you mean by this section? Apa ini? Context of movie script itu maksudnya apa? Maksud saya ini bagian kalau kita kan biasanya frame of concept. Kalau ini context of movie script itu maksudnya apa?
Penjelasan dari explanation from the movie itself, sir, but in the brief also the director from this movie.
Tapi kan itu H ya. Frame of theory itu kan ini istilahnya kan G kan, theoretical framework. H itu kan berarti theoretical framework. Setelah theoretical framework itu apa? Berarti bukan tentang teori itu harusnya kan ada section lagi yang sejajar dengan ini. Ya. Kalau itu bagian daripada teori, if this section context of the movie is part of the theory that we want to discuss, so actually this is not H but 6. Oke, Ardea, kita lanjutkan ya. Jadi tadi objek sama subjek ya. Nah, itu bedanya. Kalau objek sekali lagi itu benar-benar menjadi objek, artinya yang kita teliti itu tidak perlu ngapa-ngapain, jadi seperti objek. Tapi kalau subjek penelitian itu berarti objek penelitian kita itu harus melakukan peran-peran tertentu. Makanya disebut dengan subjek. Subjek itu indicate that do something gitu kan, maka disebut subjek. Nah, in your case, it is called object. Ya. Nah, objek penelitian kamu di sini adalah the movie script. Seperti yang sudah saya tanyakan dengan temanmu yang lalu ya. Apakah kamu perlu do you have to watch the movie in order to analyze or just to read the transcript? Which one is yours?
I need to watch too, sir, because I want to see the clear.
Okay. You want you need to watch. What is the purpose of watching?
Because I want to see clearly the explanation from the transcript itself, Jadi transkripnya kan udah beri penjelasan, namun tuh I need to see the
Transkrip
expressions
maksudnya
from
apa
the
penjelasan. Emang kalau transkrip itu menjelaskan? Kalau transkrip itu kan hanya daftar dialog.
Yeah, I mean that's
I mean like this, ya, data can be in any form. Ya. The data, sekali lagi ya, termasuk mahasiswa yang kemarin yang sudah saya jelaskan, itu unit of analysis. Ya. When you are analyzing or doing research on movie or novel, you need to decide, to determine, to define the unit of analysis. So what is your unit of analysis? I believe your unit of analysis is kind of dialogue. So in that dialogue, you can derive, or you can try to get the implication of certain character. Yeah. Now, in order to understand fully the character, you also need to, for example, to see the facial expression or the body language of the speaker. Now, if it is the case, so then you need to watch the movie because you need to confirm with the facial expression and body language or other environments situation, the status when the speaker is speaking. Nah, itu kan berarti ada data lain yang ingin kita kumpulkan. Ya. Dalam hal ini berarti Anda ingin mengumpulkan data ekspresi wajah, informasi selain teks, ya, selain maksudnya spoken. Misalkan dia ngomong sendiri, misalkan, atau ngomong bersama 3 orang, gitu kan. Dia ngomong sendiri, maksudnya nobody respond, tapi sebenarnya di dalam video itu dia bertiga, gitu kan. Nah, itu kan perlu watching. Kalau cuma dialog kan kita nggak tahu. Kalau dia cuma berdialog sendiri gitu, dialog sendiri ya monolog berarti. Nah, I mean it's data, ya. Itu namanya data. Kalau datanya cuma transkrip, ya tentulah nggak perlu nonton. Kalau perlu yang lain, ya kita harus cari data lain, yaitu dalam hal ini misalkan facial expression, or body language, or environment and so on, context. Ya, what we are talking is context of dialogue, or conversation. Nah, itu maksud saya. Jadi kalau begitu harusnya seperti itu. Alright, next. Where is it? So that's technique of data collection. Watching, you could hope here, watching movie repeatedly, lah gitu kan? Repeatedly kan? Berarti sangat penting itu watchingnya. Reading and learning all the dialogue in the scripts. Ini kan dua hal yang berbeda sebenarnya. Apakah kamu membaca tanpa reading without watching, or reading and watching happens simultaneously, or what? Nah, itu you have to explain. Identifying the purpose of finding data related to research. Maksudnya apa nih? The purpose of finding. What do you mean? Classifying the data related to sadness character. That's already, kalau ini udah classifying itu udah analisis, bukan teknik of data collection. Classifying itu kan sudah menganalisis, sudah kamu mengelompokkan kan the characters of sadness. Nah, itu yang disebut dengan analyzing internal conflict, choosing theories classifying internal. Ini kan classifying yang nomor 4. In data analysis. Drawing the conclusion and suggestion. Okay, now that's category. Are you going to categorize? I mean, do you have the category here?
Actually, I will try to analyze it from the theory that I will going to use, like from
What do you mean by category here?
kategorinya itu sendiri ya, kayak misalnya kalau di Kurt Lewin itu kan ada avoidance approach.
Yeah, are you
itu
going to use that framework?
Yes, sir.
Nah, kalau iya dia kasih disebutlah di sini kategori 1, 2, 3 itu udah harusnya sudah ditulis di sini. Apa tadi? Can you give me one example of category?
Avoidance approach.
Avoidant approach.
Yes.
Okay. For example, number 1 is avoidant approach. Nah, sini datanya apa? Dialogue. Berarti it's kind of a chunk of conversation. Kemudian page. Kenapa page? Emang kamu baca novel halaman? Harusnya bukan page kan? You are muted. I cannot hear you.
Karena tuh saya pada awalnya mikir kan karena pakai movie script. Dari movie script itu tuh ada halamannya, sir. Tapi ternyata I need
Enggak lah, movie script itu kan halaman tidak menunjukkan apapun. Movie script itu kan bisa punya halaman, bisa tidak. Yang paling utama itu kan menitnya, detiknya. Misalkan dia ngomong kayak gini pada menit berapa, kan gitu. Namanya movie, begitulah ada. Time frame-nya. So this is perhaps times gitu, time frame. So dialognya di mana, lokasi daripada dialog itu. Nah, I agree with siapa tadi ya, Abdul Malik kalau tidak salah, saying about your personal opinion. Ini mungkin yang sebenarnya itu personal opinion. That you use the data analysis and data collection here without referring to a single reference. Ya. Riset method itu tidak bisa kita tanpa referensi. Ya. Sesederhana apapun harus merujuk ke sebuah textbook, research textbooks. Ya. Karena kita bukan researcher. Ya. Kita kan, saya sendiri aja tidak menyebut saya sebagai researcher sebenarnya. Kita hanya melakukan research. Kalau researcher itu memang pekerjaannya research, doing research. Ya. Nah, berarti ilmunya udah banyak tentang research. Nah, mungkin dia bisalah beride, walaupun itu pun tetap dia tak mau. Pasti dia merujuk kepada sebuah buku, walaupun buku itu karangan dia sendiri mungkin ya, or other writers. So in methodology, in theoretical framework, you must have references. Ya, to express, to do, apalagi yang ini, to do things. This is the chronology or the steps, the stages of doing things. It is impossible. You do. I mean, you decide yourself. Yeah, you must have read from other resources. Jadi from here data collection seluruhnya ya metodologi. Kalau di sini kamu mengutip Creswell, oke lah, sama Atkinson gitu ya. Ya intinya harus punya referensi. Begitu ya. So I think that's it. Ardea, do you have any question before I close your session?
Sir, I want to ask, sir.
Ya.
Jadi related my proposal ini kan harus related banget gitu sama education our department.
Ya tidak
Jadi
harus
apa
banget
harus
sih, tidak harus
ya,
banget. Ya. but somehow is related.
Ya, jadi tuh apa saya harus maksudnya tuh nambah kayak intrinsic the elements. Jadi analisis elementsnya lagi, maksudnya elements dari movie itu juga gitu. Atau gimana sir?
Begini ya, you might have the same object of research, but you can be different from the framework how you look at that object. Nah, yang diminta itu adalah kita itu harusnya harusnya lupa dah mau saya omongkan apa tadi. Objeknya bisa sama ya, tetapi cara kita memandang objek itu bisa berbeda gitu. Nah, tadi kan yang kamu sebut itu yang pragmatik itu sepertinya itu yang lebih cocok. Cuman sayangnya tidak kamu bahas di sini, jadi saya tidak bisa memberikan saran atau berkomentar dengan proposal kamu. Kalaulah seandainya proposal ini dibawa ke arah itu, kan lebih direct itu ya, lebih langsung hubungannya antara your topic dengan our department. Nah, apakah penelitian ini harus selalu relevan dengan kita, ya apa departemen kita? Ya, sederhananya harus, karena kita punya visi misi dan semua kegiatan kita itu harus relevan dengan visi misi prodi gitu. Nah, adakah mahasiswa yang tidak relevan? Ya ada tetap, ya. Tapi sangat minoritas, hanya 1-2 saja yang memang totally off ya, tidak nyambung dengan prodi kita. Itu ada ya. Tapi pasti akan struggling di seminar nanti mempertahankan ide. Kalau kita nggak punya ide yang kuat, orang juga bertanya ngapain lo gitu kan, bela-belain mau apa meneliti yang ini, what's wrong, what happened kan gitu. If you have the strong arguments and if you have very logical argument, I think it's very okay. Ya seperti itu. Kemarin tuh siapa tuh yang meneliti, Maria ya meneliti apa judulnya? I forgot. Siapa Maria?
An analysis of moral values in Laskar Pelangi movie.
Laskar Pelangi itu kan, Laskar Pelangi ya sama sebenarnya sama Ardea ini kan not very directly related. Tapi kan kita bisa diargumenkan tuh, bisa disambung-sambungkan. Laskar Pelangi kalau kemarin saya berkomentar sangat bagus karena zaman sekarang kita itu sudah global, values-nya sudah mulai hilang gitu kan. Jadi ketika belajar bahasa Inggris juga bisa kita masukkan values ke Indonesia. Jadi kita bisa argumen itu. Masalah diterima atau tidak, ya I can't say. Tapi paling tidak kita sudah berusaha untuk argue, ya. That's what we are doing is somehow related to our departments, gitu. Bahwa belajar bahasa Inggris yang katanya itu akan menghilangkan keindonesiaannya, rasa keindonesiaan. Itu kan salah satu kenapa misalkan Pak Menteri memperkecil pelajaran bahasa Inggris di SMP, SMA itu kan karena dicurigai bahasa Inggris itu akan menghilangkan rasa keindonesiaan. Jadi akhirnya diperkecil gitu. Takutnya kita lebih familiar dengan foreign culture, foreign values ketimbang bahasa Indonesianya atau Indonesian values-nya. Nah, by for example learning, analyzing Laskar Pelangi, for example, like that. So you are delivering your research in English, yeah. You bring back these values into our education. maksud saya kalau logikanya begitu kan ya mungkin bisa diterima. So it's very similar to yours, ya. Try to bring the issues that is still related to our department. Ya. Nah itu aja. Jadi I'm not saying that this this is wrong. I mean your topic is unacceptable. What I'm saying is that you have to try to find the explicit argument, why we need this topic or this work that's seem explicitly related to our department, even though the topic is not, is more on psychology, gitu, something like that. Saya kira itu, that's the point, for Ardea. Okay, do you have any other question? Okay.
I think not.
That's okay.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right, I think that's the end of Ardea session. Now we move on to have